We're at the top of Anak Krakatoa, at least what's left of it. Just 2 months ago, what used to be here, a 400-meter high peak with vegetation around it, starting to reoccupy the land after several eruptions like a few years ago. In December of 2018, the eruptions were so violent that they actually destabilized the volcano, and this southern side right here landslid into the Sunda Strait. The landslide caused a tsunami that went outward and killed over 1,000 people in the neighboring islands here. And you can see here some of the damage from that tsunami. Also, there's a very interesting history because earthquakes have cycles. We're kind of in the middle of the cycle for Anak Krakatoa. You can see over here what's called the mother of Krakatoa. This is what's left of the southern or southwestern or southeastern flank of what used to be quite a tall volcano called Krakatoa, which went up to probably 3,000 to 4,000 meters. And Krakatoa just means fire mountain or pointed mountain. And then in 1883, it started to erupt violently, so violently that the chamber that was, the magma chamber that was feeding the volcano emptied out enough that it became, the peak became unstable, an explosion happened, the peak collapsed back down into that magma chamber. I mean, this is a pool of molten rock, right? The ocean on both sides came pouring in and caused a phreatic eruption, which means a steam eruption. And it just blew out one of the largest noises in recorded history. It was heard 5,000 meters away, 5,000 kilometers away, and anybody that was within an 18-kilometer radius was deaf from that sound. The pressure wave from that explosion went around the Earth 3.5 times. It was recorded 7 times on barographs, so essentially it went like this. And the explosion was essentially 16,000 Hiroshima bombs, if you can try to imagine. The ash went all the way up to 80 kilometers high and spread out all over the globe and created 3 years of climate change, lowering the temperature 1.2 degrees C. And then in 1920, 36,000 people, by the way, at least a minimum of 36,000 people died during that eruption right here, but globally a lot more because of the climate change. And then in 1927, it built up. All of a sudden, there was an eruption coming out of the ocean, and Anak Krakatoa was born. Between 1927 and 2018, it built an edifice that was about 400 meters tall. And then just 2 months ago, it started to erupt again. There was destabilization due to the fact that you had a very steep volcanic slope, and you also had explosive eruptions, and that caused a sector of the volcano to collapse down, go into that ocean, and create another tsunami that went out that did the same thing that happened in 1883. It killed thousands of people on the shoreline. It's going to happen again. You can see down here, there's still steam coming out. You can see the yellow color is some of the sulfur. You can also see a lot of turbulent, turbid water because of the fine particles that were dislodged down into the strait. You can see a little crater lake right down here, and eventually this will build up again. When I was here in 2016, we climbed up on this, and this mountain went up like that, and it came down right over there. Well, that whole thing is gone. The cool thing about Indonesia is that normally geologic change happens over a huge amount of time. It's very difficult for anybody to notice. But here, because of the fact that we have plates colliding at such high velocities, and Indonesia is built right on the boundary of those plates, you can see change in historic times. I mean, you can see how this volcano has changed since people have been keeping records. And just since I was here in 2016, it's completely been changed. The same thing happens with earthquakes. In 2018, there were 5 major earthquakes in Indonesia that changed the landscape. Places where we went in 2017, we went back in 2018, they were flat. So Indonesia is unique in that sense, in that you can actually see geology in action.